drills to deep right field. It is high, it is far, it is gone. It is a ninth-inning walk-off two-run home run for Didi Gregorius. Yes, indeedy. Didi Gregorius makes Yankee fans euphorious. His two-run home run. The Yankees scored 6 runs in the ninth inning and win the ball game 9-7.
Big comeback for the Yankees last night. That audio courtesy of WFAN up in New York as the Yankees come from behind to beat the Texas Rangers. And now joining us on the hotline is a man that played many years in the MLB, and two of those, or many of those stops had to feature with the Mets and the Yankees, and that's Gary Sheffield, who's kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Gary, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing great, and we thank you for coming on today and giving us a few minutes. So you heard John Sterling there give the call of Didi Gregorius' walk-off home run last night. When you were with the Yankees, he would call you the master chef and a chef special. How'd you used to like John Sterling's style when you played for the Yanks?
Well, I found him to be interesting. You know, he know how to cover the games. You know, he's always excited. You can tell who he's rooting for. And, you know, he loved the Yankees, and the fans love the Yankees.
So last night, that was such a crazy comeback, and this hasn't been really a good year for the Yankees for what their standards are known for. But when you played in your long career, what was the craziest single-game comeback that you were ever a part of?
Well, I got several, you know, but it's just, you know, you have a game where we was down like, I think we was down like 8-1 to the Reyes, which was the Devil Rays at the time, and you know, you know, that team gave us fits all year. They was a scrappy ball club that never quit. And we just got a bloop, you know, a couple walks and a bloop and a blast, and we was back in it. And the first time we did that, Jeter was always coming up on the dugout. We losing 8-1. He was saying, we're going to win this game. And I'm saying to myself, it's going to take a lot to win this game. And next thing you know, we're leading 10-8 and wound up winning the game, and that's when I became a believer.
So many all-time great Yankee players, and Derek Jeter obviously is everything that represents what the Yankees were about. Can you just describe a little bit about what it was like to play with Derek Jeter, since you had many stops before you joined the Yankees?
Well, I always knew about him, and I knew what kind of player he was. You know, I knew he wasn't no 30 home run, you know, 100 RBI guy, but it's the intangibles that he brought and the good defense that he brought and the leadership. And, you know, he always had the team believing we can win any game at any time. And it was a calmness about him that rubbed off on all the team, the whole team pretty much, and everybody just went up there and just focused on their job. And it allows you, anytime you can go out there and focus on your job, you don't try to do too much. You just do what you need to do and let everybody do what they need to do, and you wind up winning a lot of games that way.
And right now the Yankees are playing the Texas Rangers. It's in the bottom of the ninth. Game is tied at 1 apiece as we're on the Zach Gelb Show talking to MLB great and Gary Sheffield. And Gregorius actually hit another home run. He had one last night and then one today. That's a .290 average on the year, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs, and he has an excellent glove. It was a tough onus to get that task of replacing Derek Jeter, but he's played really well this year, Gary.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. You know, that's the guy that I notice more in their lineup than anybody, and I think he's capable of more. And Marcus Thames, which is the hitting coach, called me about him, and he just called me about A-Rod just yesterday. And I told him if I was to tell you anything about your guy, you know, at shortstop, you know, being on the left side, you know, I just think that he's holding his bat wrong with his top hand. And that's why he's late on a lot of balls. And I think if he uses top hand a little more, and the same with Ellsbury, if they can use their top hand a little more, they would make square contact a lot more than they do. And I just believe that this kid is a 5'2" player, and he can contribute so much more for that team. And I think once he finds it and it comes together, I think you're going to see an all-star shortstop.
You were a star when you in your career, you know, 509 home runs, 9-time All-Star. You won a World Series in 1997, and there's always something special about a star coming to New York. And you had some really good years with the Yankees before, you know, also in your entire career with all your other stops. How was your experience, though, playing in New York when you look back at it?
Well, I'd say A+. You know, I had a great time. The fans loved me there. I played my best baseball there. I was comfortable. The more intense it is and the more scrutiny and more, what they call distractions, I focus better. And, I call them, just pushing their players, not distractions. A lot of people always come down hard on New York fans about they're tough on their players, but I just think that, they just want the best, out of their players. And I always felt like no matter how I felt when I came to the park, the fans get me going. And when the roll call come around, when you're playing for the Yankees, that inspires you to go out and win that game.
And you're related to Doc Gooding, and Doc was the biggest star in New York when he played there with both the Mets and the Yankees. How much pride when you played with both the Mets and the Yankees did you have when you went out there on the field, especially knowing that one of your family members and Doc Gooding played for those teams in years past?
Well, early on in my career, I had the opportunity to be traded there for Sid Fernandez, and I thought it was going to happen when I was playing shortstop, and it didn't go down, and I was kind of disappointed. But I always said that I wanted to play with my uncle and then play with the Mets one day. And when I got to play for the Yankees, I never thought that dream would come true. And when I broke my wrist, all of a sudden, I came full circle back to New York to end my career and hit my 500 home run with the Mets. And that was one of the things that I cherished the most, because I was able to play with both New York teams, and I accomplished a lot with both.
Yeah, I remember that 500th home run, because when you played on the Mets, they weren't that good. But that season, everyone was really waiting for you to hit that 500th home run. If memory serves me right, wasn't it a big shot to left field, right?
Yeah, it was a tie game, and it was against my former team that I got drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers, which I didn't realize until I got past home plate. And I realized I did it against the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was one of those things where when everything was going down, all the anticipation every day, it was a lot of pressure to get it done. My family members was there, and we got to share a special moment of something that every player dreams of, doing something special in front of everybody.
And you have an all-time great career. I said it before, 9-time All-Star, 500-plus home runs. You won a World Series. And when people hit over 500 home runs, you think they're going to be a lock to get in the Hall of Fame, but that's not the case for you. Do you think there will be a day when you get into the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think I will. The bottom line is that, when you listen to writers talk about 500 home run, unfortunately, I played in the steroid area. That's what they call it. But at the end of the day, 500 home runs is a lot of home runs, and if people say 3,000 hits is more important than 500 home runs, I beg to differ, because only 25 people have done it, and now it's probably 28 to 29 people have done it. So that's a number that's not blowing people away to say 60 and 70 guys have done it. So to show you how difficult it is, a 500 home run guy can easily become a 3,000 hit guy, but a 3,000 hit can't easily become a 500 home run guy.
And I know you talked about this before in your book called Inside Power. Do you at all regret anything that you did in your career?
No, not at all. Everything people look at is what I did and things like that, but they don't look at why you do them. And I've always done things for a reason. I don't just make up things and do things out of character or nothing like that. It's well within my character to speak my mind and speak the truth, and a lot of people can't handle the truth.
We're talking to Gary Sheffield, who joins us on the Zach Gelb Show right now. Time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios is 4:26. So the Mets, they need some help right now offensively. Jose Reyes, they get him back, re-signing him after he was released from the Rockies for all the personal stuff that he had to go through and the mistakes that he made. How was Jose Reyes as a teammate, though, when you were in the Mets and you got to spend the time with him for that 1 year?
Well, he was one of the best teammates I played with, and he was a lot of electricity. He had electricity coming out his body every day. He was a fiery guy. He gets everybody ready for the game. You knew he was going to get his best, whether he got hits or not. He was giving you 100%. And he's one of those guys that made a mistake, and hopefully he learned from his mistakes. And I just say, give him time. He just needs to get the feel of the game back and the speed of the game, and once he does that, he'll be fine.
So you think he is deserving of a second chance?
Everybody is deserving of a second chance, and he's no different, and I feel like he's the guy that he's been a stand-up guy his whole career, and he made one big mistake.
I hope, though, that the Mets start getting some offensive help, because right now this is a team with excellent starting pitching, and you have two guys in the rotation, in a Syndergaard and also a Matz, that are dealing with their injuries right now. But the Mets just get swept in D.C. by the Washington Nationals, and now they're a half game out of that second wild card spot. Do you think you have anything left in the tank, Gary? Could you help the Mets offensively?
No, I'm done, man. I enjoy watching these guys, and I think the Mets, it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. And I think that once the offense start clicking, they got a lot of injuries in that lineup. And when they get guys back and get them healthy, you'll see a different ball club. And, I mean, this is a team 1 year removed from the World Series, and I don't see anything different coming out of out of this team. They have powerful pitching. Once the offense come around and catch up with the pitching, you'll see a better ball club.
But let's be realistic. Alejandro Diaz right now gets the strikeout in the 8th inning last night with men on second and third. He's batting 158 on the year. If you were still playing, you could bat better than 158, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure I can do that.
So there you go. I got to talk to Sandy Alderson. We got to get you signed up. You finished your career in 2009, and right here, as we're in a market where there's Phillies fans, there's Mets fans, and there's Yankee fans. You have a player like Ryan Howard who's meant so much to this Phillies organization, and he's not seeing a lot of time right now because he can't hit. He's either striking out or flying out. Occasionally, he will get a home run off a meatball pitch. How'd you know it was time to move on from the game?
Well, mine came from just paying attention to, I can hear people in the stands talking. I started noticing faces in the stands. And when I started hearing those voices, I knew it was time then, because I recall when I was so locked in and so focused on what I was doing, my wife used to sit behind home plate in the first row and yell my name out, and I never even heard it. And she's always tell me when I get home, why you never turn around and answer me? I say, well, I've never heard you. I've never seen you. And so I was that focused on what I was doing to make sure I don't make mental mistakes. And when I started making mental mistakes and I wasn't as focused, I knew it was time.
As someone that just has such an impressive resume like yourself, and you've seen everything in this game of baseball, right now the Phillies, they have some bats at first and third. Tommy Joseph is struggling. Maikel Franco is starting to come around, but still not at what he should be. What advice would you give to some of these younger players that are trying to make it in the game right now?
Well, let the game come to you. The game, you can't reinvent the game. The thing is that when you're a young player, you're wide, your eyes are wide open, and you're trying to, to hit the home run when you need a single, and you're trying to hit a double when you need a walk, things like that, moving runners over and doing the little things. And that when you do the little things, the big things come. And that's what I mean by letting the game come to you. When you go out and try to force the issue, small slumps become big ones.
And I loved your career. And right before we let you go, Gary Sheffield, I've always wondered this, because you have so many accolades in your resume when you take a look at a baseball player. And I loved watching you play, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, really watching you play here with the Yankees as well, and also at the end of your career with the Mets. What was the best moment of your career, and what was the worst moment of your career?
Well, the best moment of my career is when we Edgar Renteria got that hit up the middle, and we wound up pulling it out and winning the World Series in Game 7. And that was one of those feelings that I never forgot to this day, when we was jumping up, celebrating in the parades and things like that. The worst moment of my career is when we was up by three games against Boston and wound up letting them back in. And they had a rain out. We had a rain out, and I think that enabled them to reset their rotation when we knew they had better pitching than we did, and they was able to reset their rotation to get back in the series and wind up winning it.
That's an all-time classic series. You have the bloody sock with Kurt Schilling. You also had Ortiz with his heroics, the steal by David Robertson. Really, you take a look back at that series. Anytime there is a collapse now, you take a look at the NBA Finals this year, they always bring up that Yankees team of yours. How did you guys move on as a team from that crushing loss? Do you ever move on?
Well, I don't think you really ever move on. There's always something in the back of your mind that stays there. But as time go on, time, heals anything, but it never goes away.
Well, Gary, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes, and I loved watching you last postseason with Pedro Martinez on TBS. So thanks so much for coming on today and giving us a few minutes of your time.
Okay, I appreciate you guys for having me.